Welcome to the podcast of School Beyond Limitations. In this podcast, you will learn how to guide your child through their school life with the intention to help them find their unique essence that will allow your daughter, your son to live a fulfilled and meaningful life. Welcome to the 12th episode of our podcast and conversation with Nayeef Khan. And my name is Martina Geromin. I'm the co-founder of School Beyond Limitations and also designer of the model of School Beyond Limitations. And today I would like to start a conversation with Nayeef because I thought it's an important topic to actually bring the students' perspective even more into our conversation. We just had a conversation, Nayeef, before we started this podcast about, what is so different at School Beyond Limitations and what is so different with regards to the model. And we were talking about the conventional schooling, the traditional schooling, and SBL's model. And if I may say that, Nayeef, you have not completed all, the examinations, and you are this kind of person who is very engaged in learning. And this is what we aim to do at the SBL, that we get engaged in learning and see learning as a possibility and as a lifelong process that is co-created with facilitators, parents, peers, and so forth, And I would like to ask you, because you've been already accepted by universities, to study at universities without having completed all, the examinations. And I'm wondering what you think are the key factors why you've been chosen anyway. And I remember one of the schools you applied to, I talked to an admission advisor, and this admission advisor said to me, we have rarely come across such a strong candidate. So compliments to you, Nayeef. But what do you think are the key factors that, although you don't hold all the examinations, you are still so successful with, reaching entrance to different universities and beyond, because you're already working, right? So please let us know.
First of all, thank you very much, Martina. And I definitely want to thank the whole idea and the vision of SBL that brings, these sort of understanding among students to, what sort of things that they want to pursue in life and figure out the purpose and constantly work towards it. So I think, what most schools, or not even schools, in our culture, what we lack is the proper understanding of our purpose and our directions. Like, this is what I want to achieve in life, and these are the things I want to, get into my portfolio, because we're kind of lost, let's be honest, and then blinded by the exams and examinations only. We let those test results define us in a way, which is why the things that we behold within as the potentials, we don't really necessarily get the opportunity to see them and bring them and use them into the real world. Because of course, I do believe that every single thing that we hold has some sort of a purpose of contribution and contributing to the world. And I have to constantly find myself, to belong myself in the society and to engage with the things that's happening around me. And I think, the SBL schooling culture, in a way, reshaped that definition of understanding of true education that allowed me to sort of like move forward without keeping myself backward, thinking like my test results aren't good enough. And as you rightly said, I haven't given any proper major tests. I think I've taken one or two, but those weren't up to the mark to be getting admitted to university, let's be honest here. So why did they chose me? I like to believe that because of the things that I've somehow perceived and achieved before applying to the university. So I have been involved with several projects. I've completed them. I've understood the real meaning of education, and I've been capable to like showcase what perceiving the things I want to perceive means to me. And I think this confidence also comes along with the sort of like upbringing that you have, and school being one of the major part of a children's life should play a big role. And this is a part of their upbringing as well. The schools that they go to, they spend a lot, they spend most of their childhood in school. So I think the values that are embedded into a student's mind from a very childhood is what sticks with them for a very long time. And of course, we have to understand that SBL is still a new concept to the world. It's just been 5 years, I think. No, 6 years that
It's now the seventh year. Yeah, it's six
seventh
official
year. Okay.
years. Yes.
Okay, so it's getting close to a decade. But of course, if we're saying that SBL is challenging, in a good way, the whole idea of just sitting for exams and that very traditional core-rooted curriculum and system that is somehow destroying the creativity of students, I must say. It's not that easy for a new concept to just come in and break it and then fill in the gaps, but we have to slowly adapt to the mentality of students as they're growing, because you cannot just come in and say we should cut exams, boom, we should just go on with the SBL values and that only, because that's, again, you're forcing the idea on people. Rather, keep it open, let the students decide what they want for their lives, and then keep it open for them to have an understanding about themselves. Like, is this really what I want to do? If so, then is SBL actually facilitating me in those ways? If the answer is yes, then yeah, why not? Just get into it, and you also develop this adapting mentality as you are going with the process. So I don't expect SBL to just come in and change everything immediately, but this is certainly a movement, and this is a movement that has been set up very strongly, and it's spreading like a flash. Because I mean, you have seen the success yourself firsthand, and the success that people's stories are bringing, the student stories are bringing, and this is great that I have been a part of this movement since its very beginning, I must say.
Naive, it's nice to actually listen to you because you are talking about it's a movement, it's a shift in how we watch, education as such. And as you rightly said, it's not about saying, you shouldn't be doing examinations or you should be doing something else. It's about finding your own meaning in your life, your own essence, and then being supported with that. But I'm wondering how you would, because you mentioned a number of times just before the real value of education. What is education really, and how do you define education? Because we have it in our blueprint, right? We talk about the power of education, and in all we do, we believe in the power of education in order to bring the unique essence of each student to life. So what is, in your view, the educational model that is real education? And have you found that within SPL? And if yes, if you found it within SPL, and as you rightly say, we are still kind of new and fresh, although we have already approaching nearly a decade, but the model as such has been developed over decades, right? So what would you say? What is real education for you? And did you find that within the SPL model?
First of all, true education to me is very versatile. There is no one true definition of it. It's a shaping of a collective understanding of perspectives and knowledge, and applying those, finding a space and creating a space of applying those in their own ways. The way I'll view education is 100% not exactly the same the way you would view it, but then again, this safe space of offering the true education where people will come together, and then the shared understanding of knowledges and applying those together, working as a team, is what schools should be doing, an institution must do, that truly believes in true education. And this, to me, is what SBL is doing, and it's constantly trying to improve in any way it can. I've been a student for the last 5 years, and I've seen definitely improvements. I've also seen some diversification, but then again, there's always this perspective of keeping an open mind and seeing the flaws and trying to make it better. So yeah, true education in a nutshell to me would be to find a purpose, to play along, because there will be circumstances when you have honestly nothing to do about the circumstance, but you have definitely something to do with what you do with the circumstance. So there's a big difference, and all of these real life understanding is what true education is to me. And it's about constant learning. You learn through everything and anywhere you go. You wake up in the morning, it's a new day for you. You hear the buzzes, and then that's a learning for you, that you cope up with every single day, which is very different than the other. And yeah, honestly, we need institutions to offer a safe space for different perspectives of education to come together and coexist and collaborate, which lacks a lot in our traditional world. Unfortunately, it's all about one size fits for all, kind of thing. And yeah, well, I thank SBL honestly to at least trying to compete with a system which has been existing for the last, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 years, and then all constantly trying to offer that safe space with professionals who again work with the traditional curriculum as well, and then they see the big difference that SBL is bringing, so they're signing up for it.
Yes, Nayeef, and I think, as you rightly said, it's something that doesn't happen overnight, right? It's something we are shifting education and what you were talking about, creating this safe space, understanding that learning takes place anytime and everywhere, and that we co-create, that we collaborate, and that we are versatile and flexible, and yet we are clear that there is meaning in everything we do. And if we really find the meaning within ourselves, and we extrapolate that, and we make this choice, of co-creating constantly, of also, asking the questions that move us forward. That's an extremely important way forward. And it's a shift in how we view bringing up young people, and also understanding what learning and education and growth means. And I wanted to ask you also, what would you say? Because it's, we are still all, not we ourselves less, because, we have bought into this now. And I'm a firm believer of what has been created, because I just know this is the way forward. The more I listen to you, Nayeef, and when you talk about, how confident you feel to go to employers, to go to apply at universities, and being also chosen by those universities, by those employers, because you are currently working and you have been also involved in projects, entrepreneurial projects within SBL, creating your own company, throughout over years, and in a successful way, whatever success means, but I think already, even if it's not a multi-million company, a profit-making company, but what would you say did you learn from that process of working on a nearly daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis on setting up this company? What did you learn for your life? You talked about confidence before, and what were the elements that you learned there, aspects that you learned there, which then helped you leverage maybe, or hopefully, not only maybe, for sure, in the current life situation as an alumni? What would you say?
Well, American, first of all, we have to understand that when we restrict students from, getting knowledge, when we restrict students from information, that is the first step of, making a blind society. You cannot restrict anyone from saying like, hey, this is the information that we are setting for you. This is in your syllabus. You shouldn't be learning anything else, or you should be focusing on this syllabus only and get to your exam to pass and go through. Once we change that notion of understanding, like, hey, my knowledge and my access to information is open. I can just get to learn anything I want. Then the true question comes, where can I actually apply these learnings? Do I have a safe space to do it? Do I have proper guidelines? And that's where institutions like SBL come in and say, hey, we are offering you facilitators, we're offering you experts that will work along with you with the information that you have, co-create a thing or a project so that you know what it means to truly, let's put in my perspective, truly means to own a company or to be an entrepreneur. Because when I'm saying that I learned business studies, 4 years of college degrees, 10 years of learning in school, And then again, when I go to a company or when I try to start a business, everything is a foreign concept for me. I don't know what it means to be operating a company. I don't know what it means to reach out to lawyers and file all the taxes. I don't know what it means to, save and what is proper ROI, what is proper calculations, how I can move forward and network with people and connect with people, because I lack, the understanding of collaboration. I lack the understanding of networking and communicating. So all these real life lessons truly, comes to you as you go through the process yourself. There are some things on earth which, just doesn't go along with theories. You have to be practical about those. And how do you do that? You have to find a space for it. I don't want to mention the name, but I had a peer working with me. Together we founded this company, so we have worked together towards it. Both of us had a guideline from you, from SBL. We created a company. We were in the operation. So now when I go to an employer and I say that, hey, I have done such and such, and I know such and such, to work in a company, they know that I know something which most people with a college degree won't be able to come with, because everything's a foreign concept. And I don't blame them. I blame, all the opportunities that they haven't gotten. I blame the people who failed to offer those opportunities. And this is what, somehow keeps me 10 steps ahead or 5 steps ahead of most people who are still, unfortunately being blinded by this system that is constantly trying us to not achieve the things and not open up towards the truth of life and purpose. And honestly, this notion, I hope that gets, people get an understanding of this, and then, they try to open themselves up and not follow a system blindly, but rather take the goods and the advantages. Traditional schools have a lot of advantages to it. They have discipline, they have consistency. SBL is trying to put in all those as well. They're constantly trying students to, be disciplined on things and work, consecutively. So these are all the good things, but then again, how do you put it under an umbrella? You just have to be open. That's it.
So basically, Naif, you're saying that, having been able to be coached within SPL in a safe space where you were able to and were supported to set up your own company, that gave you leverage, right? That gave you an understanding what the practicality of setting up a business is, and that gives you leverage everywhere you go, which is wonderful. So this is what we aim to do. So we are invited to think education in a different way. In a way that education helps students understand and young people understand what their real meaning is in life, what their real talent is in life. And again, I don't want to restrict it to just one talent. You were talking about communication skills. You were talking about leadership skills. You were talking about, how to interface, networking, and understanding what it means to reach out to a lawyer, to reach out to an accountant, to understand how all the little details are working, how to do marketing and so forth. And that is a skill that will stay with you for a lifetime. And I think if we consider that the life, the society is changing so much, and students start questioning, the conventional system where you just feel basically a vessel, it's like filling a container with stuff that will be questioned more and more because students think along. So what would you say to the parents who actually feel that they resonate with what you are saying, because you are successful in your life, right? I mean, successful in the way that you have lots of options. Now you are in the position of having lots of options open without having completed exams. And yet you are sitting there, confident and engaging with, within society in a wonderful way. What would you say to parents who feel whatever you say is beautiful, and yet they think, okay, it has to be just examinations? And again, we don't want to say examinations are bad. I'm the last one saying that, because whoever would like to do that, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But there is much more than the content of exams. So what would you say to parents to help them maybe trust what comes to them within, that they say, school makes my child, I see it so often when we deal with families and students who are completely, disillusioned and lose completely interest in learning. Yeah. And because they don't feel that this has any meaning anymore. So what would you say to the parents as a student who went through a different system, SPL system, and that prepared you for life?
My only wish is that they don't get distracted with all the systems that gets forced upon us, because of course, let's just think in a way that I am a parent and I have a child, and I definitely wouldn't want my child to be going through something that, of course, they're enjoying. I'm happy, but then again, there's an uncertainty of a security of future. Like, I don't know what my child's future will be if they go through this system, because the world is not accepting it, or it's not prepared for it. Let's just put it that way. Now, that understanding is exactly what is being forced upon us to have. This is not the reality anymore. The world is advancing and has advanced more than 100 years in the last 15 years because of the introduction of technology. The world is now requiring more and more advanced and fast learning equipments and people that will bring that energy of true roots of people, that communication, networking, and understanding of things, and not just only just typing on their computers, because the world is at lack of those. It's the system of the past 200 years that has been set up. So the world is prepared for a child who knows what they're doing, who knows that the environment that they're stepping into is not a foreign concept to them. They are very adaptable to it. They are very understanding of things since the very beginning. And the purpose of schools as a whole should be to prepare themselves for life, to prepare themselves for the next step. I think I mentioned it earlier in some of the episode that it's upsetting that primary schools only think their job is to just finish primary school and get them to the middle school. Once you're into a middle school, you just want to think as a student that, hey, I just want to pass middle school and go to high school because that's exciting. Once you're in middle school, you just want to finish school and go to college. Once you're in college, you just want to finish college and go to universities or go to a job. And every single time as you step through things, you feel like that's a new environment for me. And then it's things are completely unknown. And it's because you don't have that understanding. So if I tell you as a student, as a children, or as a child, or I don't know, as a young adult, that there is an institution that will offer you or your children that opportunity to have an understanding of the next life or the next stage of life, why not give it a try? Because anywhere you go, if you are a business person, you would know that you wouldn't want someone to just come in and step in and they have to get through that entire learning again. You want someone who already knows it, who already is having that mentality of adapting to advancements and new environments. And this to me, it also is a big part of true education, is to see through what's happening, look at the bigger picture of the world, and then just contribute in the manner that you would like to contribute, and the world is requiring and demanding. So
Nayeef, thank you so much. And I would like to share with those who listen or watch this the first or the second encounter I had with your own parents. I remember when you joined SPL, or before you joined SPL, I had a conversation with your parents, and your father was saying, I think he's coming also from the educational field, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
yeah.
And he said, now our son will be attending SPL, and the choice has been done, and now I just trust the process. I trust the process. And so your parents did. And I'm extremely, extremely delighted to see, that you put into practice what we aim to do at SPL. You're a networker, you're a communicator, you are having all those soft skills. And the founder of Alibaba already, I think 15 years ago or 10, 12 years ago, I heard him speak in a conference, And at that time already he said, education needs to provide for students to learn all the soft skills that are required, because all the rest will be developing so fast, and they need to have those soft skills. And this is, again, that doesn't mean that, knowledge from an informational point of view is not important. We also need to understand concepts and content, and we need to have an understanding of history, cultural background, and all of that. But it's about the soft skills, and this is what we aim to do. So thank you, Nayeef, for an amazing conversation and for sharing your insights. And we will come back again with another conversation in the future. And yeah, Nayeef, did you want to say
I
something?
just want to send a last message to the people, especially to the parents. If you're watching, as Martina talked about my parents and my father, SBL hasn't failed in offering what it promised it will offer, and hopefully I haven't failed as a student to keep that learning curiosity in me. And yeah, this is just working together towards the best.
Thank you, Nayeef. This was an amazing ending. I think there's nothing to be added to that. And yeah, thank you for watching, and see you soon next week. Bye for now. Thank you, Nayeef.
Thank you.
At School Beyond Limitations, we support our students find their unique essence. Feel free to share the content of this podcast with other parents. We are here to show that your children can, indeed, bring their unique essence into life. So, reach out to us if you think that this is what you'd like your daughter, your son to experience, or apply through our website. Also, leave your comments, your questions, or your review about the podcast. Share it with others. And, as you know, sharing is caring.